happened to the video? Okay. We're installing the MiterSaw. We're putting everything back. We already took everything apart, adjusted some things, rebuilt some stuff like here for the flip top. I secured it so it's 100% level on its own. I'm securing everything to be flat with the MiterSaw. That is the most important one for now. The planer can always get adjusted on its own to make sure it's flat to these, but these need to be flat to the MiterSaw. I'm going by and removing the bolts that I had secured to the butcher block, adding some, what is it called, Loctite, in order for it to be secure and for the vibrations not to loosen it up. And now we're just putting everything back, doing the final touch-ups of paint, any trim outs. Here's my lift up tops. So we're just trying to finalize this project so we can get back on the truck and get back on those kits. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Oh, shit, they're right there. Just cutting them down so they're the exact same size. Some of these bolts were a little bit longer than the others. Then I'm just gonna chamfer them so that when I'm underneath adjusting it, I'm not cutting myself up. Like this one loosened up, and that's why I'm going around and tightening everything and installing some Loctite. So it's a flathead on the it's a flathead on the bottom side, or it would be on the top side. And then on the bottom, I just have nuts and bolts. I'm still gonna take these apart in order to fill them up with Loctite. I'm just trying to tighten it right now so I can chamfer the top so it's not sharp. Okay, that'll make it more chamfered. sure everything's nice and clean, because obviously I know what kind of dangers might be underneath of here if I have to adjust it. But if, say, if I wasn't here and I needed someone to adjust it, I wouldn't want them to get cut up while they're trying to just do adjustments. So then again, right here you can see just flatheads that I counter sunk here. They're a little deep in case I wanted to sand it down, maybe do like a little epoxy clear coat or something in order for it to be very rigid, which I might do once I get my fence system built. At that point I'll go ahead and do the final kind of layup that I'm gonna do. But for right now, I just need them to stay secure. That side I already flattened it out and it's nice and beveled to everything. So I'm gonna make sure I take off the bottom bolts right now. Add some Loctite to them and then lock them back up. With that, I'll flip it over, put it back in the frame, and then I'll be able to adjust the top to the frame, making it flat to this MiterSaw. As you guys can see here, I was trying to weld it to the butcher block, but it didn't work. Now that it was on it while I was trying to weld the frame. And this might be overkill. Yes, the Loctite. I could probably do, I think there's a yellow one, or secondary is a blue one, before I step up to a red one. But the MiterSaw doesn't make too much of a problem, but the Dewalt planer does. That thing rattles a lot, makes a lot of vibration, and these were coming loose. So just so that I know that everything stays flat throughout the time that I'm using it, 1 day or 2 days, I don't have to worry about it being out of square and then my cuts being damaged. So just bringing them down right now. If I move the top bolt here, it doesn't matter. I need to lay the level on top of the frame and make sure I square it up. When they start spinning, obviously grab it on the bottom. I'm just getting the majority of it. And then I'll secure it on the bottom. Finish it off so they don't come loose. Like I said, I'm really trying to tie this down so I don't have to keep having to redo this. Now that I'm gonna have my drawers in there, I need to take my drawers out just so I can reach in there. And with the rails and stuff, it's a little bit cluttered in there or hard to reach. So I definitely don't want to have to be doing this if I could avoid it. Alright, that should be easy to see. It's crushed in there. I did it twice. put some Loctite. I will have a controller between this flip up and between this one. I'll have a notch out where I'll have the controller, but I'm gonna leave it just hanging there. It's not being crushed or anything because this is elevated off the frame. So that has a little bit of clearance. If I had to, I could always just pop it right here on the bottom and it'd be okay as well. I have this cutout here. I'll show you guys. Yep. So this frame is welded on the back side with this side. So when I flip to the planer is obviously a lot different height. The deck of it is taller, so it wouldn't be level anymore. So with the power controller, I could just lift it up, make sure it's level, and I don't have to manually crank it up. This notch right here that I was trying to explain. Okay, I don't need this. I need that one. Move these to the side. It's about time to move all this stuff out of here. But this notch right here on both sides is so I can swing my MiterSaw. This thing needs to be greased up or adjusted. But when I had the corner build out, I would be smashing my hand in there and it wouldn't let me get my 60 degree. So with that out of the way, I adjusted the frame to have that 45. I cut this at a 30 degree angle. I don't know why this thing is so tight. I gotta adjust this afterwards. Just took it off the locks. I forgot I haven't locked it. So the flip top, I filled it up with grease so it's nice and easy. It's kind of too easy now, so I will be adding a locking mechanism on the inside of the drawer. It'll be a pull-out and like a sliding deadbolt that I'll be able to lock in and keep it from coming forward. When I want to flip it, I'll unlock it and I'll be able to wiggle it forward, twist it or flip it, slide it in some blocks that are in the back, slide the locking pins in and it won't move. So with that secure, yeah, I was just trying to show you that I needed those cutouts for my my 60 degree. I'll put this here so I can continue to get my my level. It still needs a few adjustments on one of the sides. You guys can see there. Maybe you guys can't see. Let me see if I turn this off. Bubbles strictly in the middle. On this side, that's already done once. Obviously, that side might be affecting this gap over here. It might be lifted up, but it was already nicely sealed up. Oh, sorry, guys. It's already nicely sealed up. I see a little bit of a gap there, but it might be because we just put this one back on there. So I'll adjust this side by itself like this. So feeding from this corner over there, I'll make it nice and flat. Then I'll put the level back on and I'll worry about both of them being dialed in. But I want to get 80% of the way done. And you guys saw me put those bolts in there just now. Those are the same 4 bolts. There's this little bracket that I made, right? So it's a flathead on the top. Then there's this bolt right here. I secured it towards the butcher block. That won't move, and that'll hold the butcher block up and down. There's a nut right here that you guys can see that I just spin right there, and there'll be one on the bottom. If I raise this one, For example, if I just, you guys can see it's there. Now if you'll see that I can drop the block. And this bolt right here is closer to the bracket. But if I lift the block upward, that bolt is now higher. But so if I need to raise it, that's how I raise it. And that's how you get an adjustment. That is the same way that we built our custom welding table as well. This is my welding table. It's dirty. I've been working on this all night long. This is my table saw. It flips down, just like my other table right here. Let me see. If I move this real quick. You guys see that butcher block on the side right there? That'll be an extension wing. I still need to adjust the heights, obviously, because I just put this in last night. But this right here will be able to handle 300 pounds, just these two brackets, 300 on that side. The cabinet can handle whatever it could handle. I'll adjust this to match this as well. And when I need it, this lifts and lowers with the frame. So that'll always be 100% level with this block. And I have one on the other side. So the same mechanism with two little latches right here. That is the exact same way that I built the custom welding table over here. So this one actually just has 3 brackets behind the table saw. I pull on the levers, it drops, it folds right here. It's nice and compact. This entire welding table adjusts in height as well, up and down. And then we were working on our welding cart over here. On my welding cart, I've had it my tank fall before. So I made this little enclosure. These will open and allow it to swing whenever I need to replace the tank here. And then inside of there, I have my 3 welders. I'll clean up right now and I'll show you guys again in a little bit. If you guys are still on the live here, I'll show you guys. But I have 3 different welders. They're all with their pull-out shelves. So I can get to each one of them, adjust them. And I got my brackets to do the same shelves for that to be on the side of here. So if I'm away from my welding table, I could just flip that one up, grind, set up over there, and then work on my suicide door soon. We're trying to get all these projects done so I can get back to working on this 2001 Duramax here. It's a Silverado. And we're building these body kits to transform your truck from a 99 and 07 trucks to a 2026. So we're trying to crunch down on some time here and bring those out this February. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you. We've been putting in some work in here, trying to get things looking right for you guys. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. I appreciate you guys in here, the likes, stopping by. I'm gonna get back to it here. If you guys want to see, just let me know in the comments and I'll bring you guys in closer. But this is just adjustments up and down until you get the right fit. Need to get a few bolts here. I should have them here. Yeah. The only thing I don't like about this build so far has been the drawer slides. Literally spent about 4 hours or 5 hours last night getting these cabinets to work. For some reason, I had designed them to have a border trim around the cabinets with a walnut trim around there, and I had to remove it last night because they weren't fitting on the cabinets and the box, even though the dimensions were correct. But for whatever reason, that didn't work, and I spent about 5 hours just installing the drawer slides with the cabinets last night. They're over here on the side. They're done. They're ready to go on. But we had to change a few designs just because of those problems that I had last night. They're all pretty tight. I had to break the threads or something. They might have weld splatter on them. They're not splitting by hand, but I'll get them to work here. I haven't adjusted the height here yet. You'll see me that I work in every dimension that I can to try to get the entire board flat. Alright, got the last one on. This side over here is a little high. So as mentioned, I'm just gonna loosen the top bolt from the top of the bracket so it can drop. I don't know if you guys can pick that up in the camera. That's still a little high. So since I dropped this side already, now I can go to that side. Shit. It's difficult to get in here. Right there, it's laying flat over there. Okay, I dropped this corner and it was lifting it up. Alrighty, there I can see that I went deep, low enough, so now I can start lifting it. If you have to, you gotta do this in order to make sure it's flat. So now I can start winding the top one on top of the bracket. I can start bringing that one lower to start lifting this back corner, and I'll work my way in towards the machine. It's a 16 or a 32nd over there. Apparently I have one nut on there that's a different size, so I'm fighting myself. Alright, that's pretty good over there. Now I'm gonna focus on this front corner over here. Just a little bit of back and forth. Gotta loosen one, tighten the other one in order for it to go the right direction. Okay. Okay, that one brought it down too much. Every time that you adjust one, it alters the other side. So you do have to continuously go back and forth. I'll just tighten that down, those two back sides. Now I can come over here to the front. It seems pretty. All right, this side is definitely high. Okay, that side looks pretty good. This side is really, this corner is very high. Last one is this front corner. I'm also looking over here and I'm also feeling with my hand if I feel any kind of twist on the level, that means it's being lifted. Right there. Obviously, if I wanted to do some fine adjustments, I could also sand any little slow spots if I saw something. Or like at some point, a couple of months from now or something, once I add my trim out right here, I might just build it up a little bit higher, pour a little bit of like self-leveling epoxy just to fill in like a little pool. It'll be flat as glass, and then I won't have to worry about it. Another thing is you should be able to slide over. It has a little bit of grip. Let's see if I can get a piece of just a piece of board. Now this could always be bowed, but one, I shouldn't see any kind of gap or difference between them. But I also shouldn't feel a lip when I'm moving things over. That's how you can know that you don't have a high spot. Up here, I have a little bit of a lip that you guys can hear. Over there seems like a little low spot. Obviously the butcher block is still live, so it's still twisting. I did not flatten it on any kind of router sled or anything like that. It's literally just being twisted by the 4 bolts. That's all I have. My table that I showed you guys previously, my welding table, it has about 84 bolts to warp the table flat. So that one has a lot of them. But this is very close to flat for what you're going to be cutting. You just don't want your wood to be 1% warp, and this is less than 1/4% offset at any point. And I'm also not going to be using that side. That side, once I use the planer, I also only have about 12 inches. So I could always do the same thing, same method. And with that, if I have any very small slow spots, I could always just go with a block sander, sand it down, or a power sander. Or like I said, once I go ahead, and I probably will add a border or walnut, and it'll only be like a 1/2 inch kind of trim out that I'll sit it an 1/8 inch higher, so it'll act as a pool. And then in between here, encasing these also so they don't spin, will be holding everything inside of here like a pool. And then everything can be totally flat on its own. It'll level itself out. So I can do that there, and I can do that here. Or I can include that on here too, and it'll be dead flat. And that could probably even work, because then I can polish the epoxy on there, and it'll be very slick for work surfaces to be nice and smooth operating. And then I do have a track system that I plan on putting here, and then use it on the other side, so I can always lock something up. So like I said, lift this up, and if I need to do repeated cuts at 12 inches, 24 inches, or at 3 feet, I could just drop the block and do my repeated cuts all day long. Definitely will be using this entire system when we start working on the truck. I do want to do something a little bit off the wall, you know, maybe like laminating plywood sheets, subwoofer, like some sort of enclosure hasn't been, nothing traditional, not just like a box and that's it staying painted. I want to do something with layered veneers or something like that. So I will be using this station, and that's why I want to dial it in now. So again, everything is pretty good. Good. Double checking one more time. This is my work surface where my work material usually lands, and right there it is dead flat right there. so my cuts will be 100% accurate. Sorry. I'll make sure that I zero out the blade and we'll be good to go. I don't have any additional bolts right now in order for me to adjust these side plates right now. They're only bolted up with 4 wood screws on the bottom of this. I have to drill completely through, add some brackets, and then adjust it. So I will be working on that afterwards. But for now, that'll be it on these. Those are on, I can still use them, but they just won't be level. I do gotta get a lock on this thing though. I changed the casters that I on previously because the weight of these 2 machines, I had previously some very heavy duty casters on every corner, so I had 4, but in the middle, this weight that's supporting these 2 machines was kind of sagging towards the middle, so I opted for these other 2.5-inch casters that I have. They're plenty for the weight, but the caster wheels themselves, they're really, I guess, really hard plastic, and even if I lock it down, it still moves a little bit. That's the only thing that these new casters are not that good at. The other ones were a much softer rubber, and it would definitely lock it out, even with just 1 or 2 wheels locked in. This one I've had to lock all 4, well there's 6, but 2 of them I can't reach because they're in the center of the entire system. But with 4, it won't move, but with 2, it definitely still will. Alright, that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go clean up on the other side just so I can start sanding over there. But the cabinets right there and right here, we're gonna be sanding them. This is the issues that I ran into. As you can see, I wanted to keep the center green to match the cabinets, and they just keep that little outer trim on it. I have the bottom, the top, and the side, but on all these sides right here, I had to cut them down, and I couldn't do it equal on both sides, even though I wanted to. I had to forcibly only cut on one side to make them fit. So I'm gonna have to scrap that, sand everything flat, and then just paint the trim and the boards all the same color. So I'm gonna set up over here. Right now it's a mess, so just give me like a second. I'll clean up, and then I'll start sanding those for paint. Oh wait, where's my trash can? right now. Oh, okay, this is for this. I'm just cleaning up right now so I can bring over here and sand, but obviously I already have a mess over here. I'm not trying to make it a bigger mess. Just putting some of the tools that I'm still using over here while I can sand and then use some of the same things I'm using right there. Oh, I still need this. I don't need this. And I don't need these. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll answer them. Just cleaning up, guys. Give me a second, then I'll get back on the sanding. We're sanding the cabinet fronts so I can paint them and put them on the custom MiterSaw station over there. Just doing some stuff here. Just trying to clean up so it's not a hazard around here. Yeah, earlier or last night when I was working in here, I had to do some welding and I have all this sawdust around me, so want to make sure that if I need to pivot and use a different machine, I can do so safely. And also so I don't lose any kind of tools right now. I'm about to bring the cabinets over here, and then we'll get started with the sanding. Again, we're making some little bit of progress. Our shop, getting some color up in here. We're gonna be finishing this off, bringing the cabinets right here, and the ones over there, bringing them over, sanding them down, getting them painted to match the green on the faces of the drawers, golden handles, and then we'll be adding a trim around all the butcher block, including the wings that fold up with some walnut. Appreciate you guys on the live. All right, so last night I spent quite a few hours trying to get everything to work. This is just a close up of what resulted of an issue that came up. This was meant to be painted, and I was gonna have a wooden what is this, trim going all the way around, but I had to cut off the majority on each side of the cabinet itself for some reason. This was a cabinet that we tried to make part of the system, but it was previously designed for a customer and they decided they didn't want it. So I tried to reuse it, retrofit it instead of tossing it. Maybe during storage or something, it warped or something. So my entire plan, I took the time to make everything nice and clean, but I ended up having to cut this off just to make it fit. That's okay. Everything's centered right, but for some reason it just didn't want to work. I spent like 4-5 hours on the rails yesterday, and that's the outcome. So change of plans is I'm gonna take them all, fill all any gaps, any imperfections that I came from trying to make them work yesterday. Just paint the whole thing, make sure there's no edges, no creases, and then it'll be all solid green. This is my left pile, that's my right pile. In order to make sure that I don't take too long, make it easy for me, I'm gonna use 120. If I use 80 or 60 or 40, it'll leave too many marks, and then I'll have to do this step anyways. But if I do 120 and I do 2 to 3 coats of paint, it'll be nice and smooth. We are using Gallery series from Sherwin-Williams, and I'm gonna use a power tool for this face right now. Okay, I already have a 120 on there. The reason I have to sand everything is previously I wanted everything to be flush. So I had left this like about a 30-second protruding outside of the cabinet face. I was gonna add 2 to 3 layers of paint to try to make it a level face or surface, so it could be kind of all uniform after painting. But now that we have to change plans, I need to grind that 16th that I left or 32nd all the way around, sand it down flat so it's all one piece, and then I can paint them. So that's the setback that we have right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get my mask on, so it's gonna be a little loud. I'll throw my paint booth on. If you guys have any questions, drop them down and I'll answer them when I can. Yeah, missed the spot. How you guys doing? Luis, Bell, thank you for being on here. Thank you for guys for the likes. I was sanding all these flat. We had designed it to have a 1/4 inch all the way around, but last night is just for our shop cabinets. But we had an issue with one of our cabinets, either by storage or maybe humidity at some point. My boxes must have warped and they're a little bit thicker than I had originally designed the layout. So I couldn't get them to fit. I want to get onto my shop so we can get working back on my truck here so we can get the conversion kits going. Production starts this month. So in order to not have to modify the box, I just cut off whatever I had to cut off from one side, but I wasn't allowed to have the other reveal equal. So I just cut it all smooth. I'm just gonna sand it down. Well, I already sanded it down. Now I'm gonna start painting these so they can look like the cabinets up here on my MiterSaw and planer station. These sides flip up. These both sides flip up. That way I can have a good extension table. The entire table goes up and down electronically. It's the MiterSaw planer on the bottom. I have all the drawers that are gonna be here. This is gonna be my woodworking station alongside of my table over here. If you guys take a look at the table that I was just standing on, it's a welding table, but I have my table saw on there. So if I scoot that over, this will flip up just like I showed on this other table right here. Just like this, without no legs, no posts. Keeping it usable space inside the shop. And when I don't need it, just folds down. So this is a space where I was working on yesterday, and for some reason one side is thicker than the other, so I had to modify my boxes, but that's already done. Clean up on this side and start primering those. I am gonna also work on these. I'm gonna add like an edge band that's gonna be like a 5-inch profile all the way around as a trim using walnut. And then that'll get stained to match my custom welding cart. That'll be that wood right there. Full trim out, covering any of the gap. Even though I painted the frame black, so it's all nice still, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cover it up so that we don't have any trapped dirt, dust, debris. I'll fill it in with walnut, and then I'll have it match my welding cart over there. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Oh, one thing that you guys might have seen me doing and were wondering is on this, I was using my drum sander here. I had marked them if there was any kind of gap that I needed to file down. This side, so my right sides, I did do, but this one, I jumped the gun and I started sanding the faces where I had actually marked. So a couple of them did get sanded. As you guys can see, some are like a 16, some of them are like an 1/8. So some of them I missed them. So I have to reinstall them right now. See if there's any gaps that I need to correct so they're all equal and straight. Mark them, bring them back over here, sand them down, and then fill them up for painting. I'm just cleaning up right now, guys. I did try this sander, Orbital DA sander, but this is an Amazon brand. I'm probably gonna be testing a few other brands. I didn't really like how this one was working. It seems to vibrate a lot off the surface, so it feels like it shakes, and it doesn't really get a flat surface when it's working. So I might be just trying this other brands instead of this one. If you guys have a brand that you guys use or prefer, let us know in the comments. Just cleaning up, guys, so that when I bring the cabinets over here, I can probably paint them over here. 4. I'm installing them so I can check my gaps to make sure they're all even. If I need to cut one down, I can cut it down before I paint. This one's high. That one's a little tight. I'll have to adjust them. But I want to check my gaps. They're pretty good. Although these can open up a little bit more so that they match on this side. So I prefer to use a pencil, but I'll just use a level and a pencil here to mark it. Since they're already set, I might just do minor adjustments up and down. Anything that's needs a cut, I'll mark it now. And this side I had it cut in before, but perhaps I didn't mark it deep enough. Okay. These are very close. This one's. I think that's the only one. I might just try to shim this one over. I might do this one. Alright, we got a little bit of cut on both. I might just try to cut that on the MiterSaw if I can. Alright, I'm gonna bring the left side and I'm gonna do the same thing. So just line them up again, just like I did over there. I have 2 of them that I need to inset. Yeah, just 2. supposed to have a lock on it. Oh. I was trying to cut it on the MiterSaw, but I haven't really used this MiterSaw myself too much. So usually my Dewalts have a little safety feature that I could open that up, and this one doesn't. So it's not letting me use it. At least not safely. It won't let me use it safely. So I'm just gonna go take it back on the other side where my table saw is at, but I'm just gonna use the sanders. Thank you guys for being on the live. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm working on my cabinets today. I'm trying to creep up on the edges so that they're all nice and even. So I'm gonna use my belt sander to try to get the last little lines that I marked just now.